Hold it.
Randolph Street, small town, mid-Missouri. Hi, I'm C. Marie Thornton. We're here today doing part one of a documentary on a man named David Davis. Although David Davis has many facets to his life, brother, father, grandfather, nephew, uncle, today we're going to focus on the facets where he is a sportsman and a brother. This humble bungalow is where he spent most of his growing up years, mostly uneventful except for one thing. Where this garage now stands, there stood a basketball goal where he and his siblings and many of the neighborhood boys played, many hours shooting hoops as it were. Although through constant play and practice most of the neighborhood kids could play very well, David seemed to have a special feeling about the game and how it should be played. Now at the home of Walter Davis Jr., the eldest brother of David Davis, to get his comments about David Davis. We realize that most of the Davis boys in Huntsville were very good players. You yourself were an exceptional player. Can you share with us anything about Davis' abilities to handle the ball?
Well, Dave was a great player. He played 2 years behind me, and the most competition that I've had was David, going against David in behind our house and on dirt court. Was he was an exceptional player. His stamina was great. He could run and play forever. And as I said, the biggest competitor I had was him. Now, I could outrun him, I could outjump him, I could outshoot him. But as far as actually defeating him, I never could defeat him. And when he was in high school, and I did not acknowledge how good David was until I basically graduated. And once I graduated, then I started watching David play. And one of the greatest games I ever saw is when David played, Davis Jr., I think. David played against, I think it was Boonville or Marshallene, one of those teams. Where anyway, Dave played such an exceptional game, all-around game. I looked at Dave and I said, I'll be darned, Dave is better than me. And I ran up and hugged him after that game because I was so proud of him, being the player that he was. And I felt unfortunate not acknowledging that before that. But the competitive edge in me was not allowing him ever to defeat me at anything. But Dave was a superior player. And as it should be noted, Dave went on to Dave went on to Trenton Junior College and had an exceptional 2 years there, and then received a scholarship to Kirksville College, and he was known as Motor Mouse up there. Dave was the smallest player, but he seemed to be the quickest and worked the hardest. One of the best defensive players that ever was up there. And what was unusual about Dave was he had some good players that got more rebounds, but Dave always credited himself with 1 or 2 steals per game. If Dave was to come through now, Dave would be your Muggsy Bogues. Dave would be worth $4 or $5 million a year now.
This is a locker room where David Davis, I can't talk,
Used to dress out for the games.
dressed out for his games.
Restaurant, Senior High. The old gym has been refurbished, but I imagine somewhere in the crevices, in the corners, they're still growing for the Davis boys as they played when they played in the late 60s. I'd like to introduce you to a present coach, PE coach, here at Restaurant Elementary School. This is Carmen Smith. Carmen Smith, did you know David Davis at the time that he played ball here?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever get to see him play?
No, I didn't.
Well, thank you, Carmen Smith. Though several Davis boys played here, Jonathan, Joseph, Walt, Daniel, Rashad. Then there was David. David played in a game against Harrisburg in a Paris tournament in 1967, where he scored the most free throws in one game, 15. The record still stands. Okay. And that record still stands. and 33 during the whole tournament in Paris in that year. Outstanding record for free throws.
Here are the bleachers where the crowd shouted and roared as David Davis ran down court with the ball. And the buzzer sounds. They win the game. And we go back to West Strand High for school memories of David Davis.
And co-eds.
And co-eds. See if you can catch the flaw on this page. Uncle David's eldest sister and eldest child. Elizabeth Davis. Aunt Barbara Oliver, known as Barbara McLean now. His cousin, Jenny Davis, and his brother, Walter Davis. This is Miss West Strand JV. Jacoby was chosen for Beauty Queen of the Big Nine during an enthusiastic pep rally. On second row, You have David Davis, and one over from him is Walter Davis. And up from him on the first row at the end is Robert Thorpe. Don't they look gorgeous? And
Older
here
mouse.
he is, David Davis, that handsome gent, and his classmates. David Hicks, known as Papa. Shirley Lee.
Everett Smith.
Everett Smith.
Jerry Thorpe.
Jerry Thorpe.
Wilma Tolson.
Wilma Tolson.
And
Harold Turner.
Nancy Allhouse. Donald Kitchen. Susan Miner. James Robinson, otherwise known as Frog. Vivian Robinson, Uncle David's old girlfriend. Teasing my mod. Brenda Tolson. Ralph Tolson. Sharon Tolson. They all look the same.
Now,
Here we are on the corner of Bright Street. We just caught Evelyn Griffin on the go. We want to ask her just for a few moments so she can say a word or two about David Davis, her nephew.
Yeah, David Davis, my nephew. I kept him when he was a baby. He wasn't walking yet, and I kept him for quite a little while. And he loves to eat. He eats and eats.
So he has quite an appetite.
Oh yeah, he has quite an appetite. And I love him.
Speaking of David's ability to eat, most pictures of him find him at the dinner table. Whether it's pork and beans and canned spaghetti, as he once fed his sister every day for a week, or Fritos, David has an uncanny ability to eat.
and after all that eating, he yet has to work it off. Rather football or basketball. We love you.
Shields Park, Huntsville, Missouri. Each summer, basketball camp is held here for about 2 weeks. David Davis leads this camp. There's no pay, there's no government funding, there's no reward. But David chooses to motivate kids, to get them out and get them going, making each one stronger with whatever he or she is able to do. Much like he did with his baby sister, training her, motivating her, pushing her to learn and to grow. And we salute you today, David Davis, for your motivation with children. For Johnda Chantel.
Whatever he tried to do.
She didn't get the first part.
Bite, Mom.
Hi.
No, that's good. Right there. Yeah.
Concerning David Davis, happy birthday, David. I forgot your age, but David's always been a child that was really different from my other children. He was a very good boy. I could just give him something to play with, give him a hammer and a nail and boards, and he'd sit there and play all day long. Of course, he got his spankings and his whippings like all the rest of them did, but he has been an excellent child. No offense to none of the rest of the children, but at least when he was little, several people wanted him. My uncle wanted me to give him to him, and